That night, two strangers came knocking on Rahab's door.
But they were not ordinary travelers.
They were spies. And now, the soldiers of Jericho were coming for them. Rahab had only one choice: hide them or betray them.
Ekale, ọmọ mi, come closer. Come and sit beside me. Can you see the moon shining above us tonight? Even the moon seems to know that some stories should never be forgotten. Tonight, I want to tell you about a woman whose past made people look down on her, but whose courage made God use her in a way no one expected. Her name was Rahab. Long ago, there was a great city called Jericho. Jericho was a strong and wealthy city. Its walls were enormous. They stood high above the ground, protecting the people inside. From a distance, those walls looked impossible to defeat. No ordinary army could simply walk through them. And inside that mighty city lived a woman named Rahab. Rahab lived in a house built into the city wall. Her life was not one that people spoke about with pride. She had a troubled past. People knew her by the things she had done. And because of her past, many people believed they already knew what kind of person she was. But, my child, never be too quick to decide that someone's past is the end of their story. Because sometimes, God is writing a new chapter while people are still reading the old one. At that time, the Israelites had crossed into the land that God had promised them. Their leader was Joshua. God had commanded Joshua to lead the Israelites forward. But there was one great obstacle standing before them: Jericho. Joshua wanted to know what was happening inside the city. So he secretly chose 2 men. He said to them, "Go and look over the land, especially Jericho." The 2 men left quietly. They crossed toward the city. They entered Jericho and eventually came to Rahab's house. But someone saw them. Word quickly spread through the city. 2 men from the Israelites have entered Jericho. The king of Jericho heard about it. He immediately sent a message to Rahab. "Bring out the men who came to your house. They are spies. They have come to search out the land." Rahab knew exactly what this meant. If she handed the men over, they could be killed. If she protected them, she could be punished. Her heart must have been beating hard. She had a decision to make. And sometimes, my child, the most important moments in our lives come disguised as difficult choices. Rahab had already made her decision. She had hidden the 2 men. She answered the king's messengers. "Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. They left when the city gate was about to close. Go after them quickly. You may still catch them."
But Rahab had not sent the men away. She had taken them up to the roof and hidden them beneath stalks of flax that she had laid there. The king's men searched everywhere, but they did not find them. Soon they left the city, the gate was shut, and Rahab climbed to the roof. There, she spoke to the 2 spies. She told them something important. "I know that the Lord has given this land to you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt. We have heard what happened to the kings who stood against you. And when we heard these things, our hearts melted with fear. Everyone in this land is afraid of you." Then Rahab said something that revealed what was happening inside her own heart. "I know that the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on the earth below." Ah, do you hear that, my child? Rahab had heard stories about the God of Israel. She had not seen the Red Sea herself. She had not stood in the wilderness with the Israelites, but she had heard. and what she heard caused faith to grow inside her. Sometimes faith begins with simply listening. Then Rahab made a request. She said, "Now, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I have shown kindness to you. Save my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and everyone who belongs to them. Save our lives from death." The spies agreed. They told her, "Our lives for yours. If you do not tell anyone what we are doing, we will protect you and your family when the Lord gives us the land." But there was one condition. Rahab had to place a scarlet cord in the window of her house. When the Israelites came into the city, everyone inside that house would be protected. Rahab listened carefully. She agreed. Then she helped the two men escape. But there was a problem. The city gates were already closed. The spies could not leave through the gate. So Rahab told them, "Go to the hills, hide there for 3 days. Then the men searching for you will return. After that, you can continue on your way." The spies thanked her. Then they disappeared into the darkness. Rahab stood there, alone, looking at the scarlet cord in her hand. She knew what she had to do. She had to trust the promise. My child, faith sometimes means holding on to a promise before you can see the result. The two spies returned safely to Joshua. They told him everything that had happened. They said, "Surely the Lord has given the whole land into our hands. The people are terrified because of us." Joshua listened, and the Israelites prepared themselves. Jericho was about to face the army of Israel. Then the day came. The Israelites marched toward Jericho. But something strange happened. They did not immediately attack the walls. Instead, they marched around the city one time. Then they returned. The next day, they marched around it again and again. For 6 days, they walked around Jericho. The people inside must have wondered, what are these Israelites doing? No attack, no battle, just marching. But on the 7th day, everything changed. The Israelites marched around the city 7 times. Then the priests blew their trumpets. Joshua commanded the people, "Shout!" And the people shouted with all their strength. Then the walls of Jericho came crashing down. The mighty walls, the walls that looked impossible to defeat, the walls that had stood for so long, fell. But there was one house that remained under the protection of the promise. Rahab's house. The house with the scarlet cord hanging from the window. The Israelites came into the city, but Joshua had not forgotten the promise made to Rahab. He said to the men who had gone to spy out the land, "Go into Rahab's house. Bring out the woman and everyone who belongs to her, because you swore an oath to her." So the men went. They found Rahab. They found her father, her mother, her brothers, and everyone who belonged to her. They brought them out safely. Imagine Rahab standing there, watching the city around her fall, while her family remained alive. The woman everyone had judged had become the woman who saved her family. The woman with a painful past had been given a new beginning. Mommy, never tell yourself that your past is too ugly for God to use you. Rahab's story reminds us that God can take someone people have rejected and give that person a place in his greater story. Rahab and her family were allowed to live among the Israelites. And Rahab's story did not end at the walls of Jericho. No, her life continued. She married Salmon, and she became part of the family line that eventually led to King David. And generations later,
Her name was remembered among the ancestors of Jesus. Can you imagine that? Rahab, the woman from Jericho, the woman with a troubled past, the woman who once lived inside those great walls, became part of a story that reached far beyond her own generation. My child, that is what makes Rahab's story so beautiful. People saw her past, but God saw her faith. People saw her mistakes, but God saw her courage. People saw someone unworthy, but God saw someone who could still be used for something greater. So listen well and remember this: your past does not have to be your final chapter. Never underestimate what one courageous decision can change. Rahab risked everything to protect 2 men, but through that decision, her entire family was saved. Faith may begin with a small step, but you never know how far that step can take you. And remember this too: never judge someone only by where they have been. People can change. People can grow. People can become something greater than the mistakes they once made. Sometimes, the person everyone has rejected is the very person God chooses to use. Egbo Asiranti, do not allow your past to convince you that your future has no purpose. The God who gave Rahab a new beginning can also write a beautiful new chapter in your life. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that no past is too broken for a new beginning, please like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel, Beautiful Folktales, where we tell African stories filled with wisdom and meaning. New stories come every Sunday by 8 p.m. Until next time, stay wise and stay kind. Odabo.